What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be covering something that I think is pretty important when it comes to ESports Boxing Club, and that is the controls. Now, we've all seen this screenshot from the July gameplay where they show the controls, and the controls are relatively the same to what I experienced when I went and played when I was lucky enough to play the 22nd and the 23rd of March. So I thought I'd just talk to you guys about how the controls actually felt, because I made a video kind of speculating about how they felt, but being able to actually sit and play, and this seems to be like an issue of, because there's so much realism with so much new footwork, there's so much movement, what does the game actually feel like in terms of the control, because obviously that's the most important thing. Also, this is what happens when I don't put my hair back, by the way. This is actually what I look like normally. And I thought, you know what, we're just going to literally sit and we're just going to talk about it and talk about the controls and how they actually felt from I'm not even going to talk about boxing, really. I'm going to talk about pure gameplay, so you guys know how the controls actually felt when I got in, and, especially my early experiences to late experiences. So, without further ado, guys, let's jump into it. Now, right off the bat with the controls, they go for a simple build. This is movement, just for basics. Let's just cover basics quickly. This is movement, this is block, and then you got, obviously, jab straight, hook, or your punch control here, or uppercut, or, you got your jabs, and you guys know it. This is the basic layout for most, games that are based on a real combat sport, boxing and UFC, for example. So that is no surprise. So right off the bounce, when you move, you feel very in control. You feel very in control of your fighter when using this left stick. You don't feel like you're gliding or nothing. It feels good. You definitely feel like, that when you pull back like this, you are going to shift weight, and so that's a standard, that's a given. Definitely no restriction the way you move. You don't feel like you can only move left, right, straight, forward, whatever. You can move in any which direction, which feels fantastic. Now, I was a button player, but everyone else used the analog stick. Now, this is my point where some people say, the buttons are a disadvantage because, or they're a disadvantage or an advantage to depend on who you are. But if it's a disadvantage if you're not a spammer, because the instinct for people is to do this. Well, in my opinion, you can do the same with the stick. You can bash the fuck out the stick and it won't matter. I felt no disadvantage. I beat almost everybody I played consistently with. Some fights were pretty easy. I felt completely in control early on in the fight. So we're going to cover more buttons for my punching, and the stick, I didn't really use it at all. Now, I'm going to go through the controls a bit more for you guys so you get an idea. So obviously we have movement. We have this up on the D-pad is the loose movement. Now, I'm pretty sure it's right on the D-pad is switch stance. Now, we didn't use the switch stance much because it wasn't as implemented as it should have been. L1 is your body punches. Now, this is one of my favorite things. L1 is your body punches. L2 is your weaves. Your slips are click in. So you click in and you move in a direction and you'll go forward, or back. Now, I mentioned from a control point of view, they were inconsistent. But now I'm going to go off the basis that everything becomes consistent as it should be when a game is fully released, sorry. So, clicking in is fine. So let's say it works every single time. So if we cover the left side of the controller, we have standard movement. Then we have L2 and movement, which is, the weaving. Then we have the click in, which is the slip. So we can go forward and back. Then we have L1 is the body punches. Now, I love this, and it was one thing that Ash mentioned, that in Fight Night, weave and body punches is the same thing. And let me tell you, the flawless feeling on a controller between, jab, and let's say I want to go jab to the head, straight to the body, come up with the hook to the head. I don't feel like I have to completely, go through the weave motion like you do in Fight Night. So you literally, you just go bang, and then you hold that straight, come back up, bang. And that feels flawless. It really does. That was brilliant. I love this. One of my favorite things. I love that this is your body punches through and through. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I felt fully in control. In Fight Night, admittedly, I thought that Malky Pablo, and he is one of the nicest guys that I've met on the internet, and he's an absolute god at Fight Night Champion, absolute god tier at it. So he probably never has that issue where he'll weave and accidentally hit the body instead of the head. I have that on Fight Night, and I've played quite a bit, and I noticed that even people that have played a good few hundred hours still sometimes will, they'll weave and they'll go to stop and throw the body, but they're still slightly, that L2 or whatever is still coming up, and it might hit the body instead of the head. This, you have no problem with that. It's so much simpler. So you hold it, and you can throw your body punches, and you release it, and you throw your head punches. It's pretty simple. Now we go over here with the R's. We've got R2 is your block, obviously, and yet R1 is your power punches. Now, I don't use many power punches. I use more power jabs than anything, but I don't use many power punches in any game. I never have. So, you know, that felt fine though. When I did use the power punches, you know, I'm like this, and, you know, I'm like, moving around. And then if I want to, see, I can just, I'm blocking, I'm moving around, I'm blocking, and then, boom, snap that power punch off. And also, you can be blocking, and you can throw punches straight from the block, which is brilliant. Now, of course, now you're thinking, how do you block the body? You probably weren't thinking that, but I'm going to cover it anyways. Now, there's two things in ESBC to remember. They want to go for two different modes. Kind of a casual mode, where it's not as turbo realistic as the hardcore mode they make. And the hardcore mode is the full 6-axis blocking like this, and the casual mode is up and down. However, if you do block and weave, and you move around with the right stick, obviously, you know, because obviously you've got, when you weave, obviously this is just pure movement, and when you're weaving, you know, you obviously have you have this motion, and you know, it's brilliant. You know, I think it's absolutely brilliant. So when you're holding the two together, I'm just trying to think how it was to move your head. Yeah, it was this, and you know, so you can, or was it? No, it was left stick. I can't remember off the top of my head. No, it was left stick. It was left stick to weave your body. Yeah, it was left stick to weave your body. Sorry, my apologies. So if you're doing L2 and R2 together, and you're weaving with your body, you do end up doing this, like, as you're weaving, you do. It doesn't feel as much control as the actual 6-axis blocking will feel, but you can do that. Now, the other way to block your body is, let's say we just want to block with R2. We can obviously hold up and hold down. We can hold down to block the body, and then release it to block normally, and then like that. So that's a simple block. Or the one they have done is R2. I don't know if they'll keep this, admittedly, but you block it, and then you hold L1, which is the body punch modifier, which blocks your body. So I actually use this. I actually use these to block my body, as opposed to this one. So when I was blocking my head, I was, you know, moving around, bing off the jab, you know, weaving, slip, boop, jab, you know, step back, and I'm moving around. He comes in, I block my body, moving around, really catch him with that hook, So you see what I mean? The controller itself never felt clunky, and I was using an Xbox controller. So I think for me, someone that doesn't use Xbox controllers, I think for me that was like proof almost that the controls are fluid, because I'm using a controller I never use. I've got my sticks in different places, and my stick was up here because I'm on Xbox, whereas I'm a PlayStation person, and the controls still felt super smooth. They felt very quick to get used to. As many controls as there was. Obviously, if we just go through them, there's a few things I still haven't covered. But, you know, we've got, like, the clinch is that. Like I said, loose movement, switch stance, you can taunt. You've got your weave, you've got your block, you've got your body block, you've got your body punches, you've got your power punch. You know, you've got your slips in, you've got your ability to weave, you've got the ability to block and weave, you've got the ability to, you know, move around, you've got your loose movement, then you've got you got your step back, your step forward, step left, step right, you know, then you've got obviously, you know, your jab straight, your hooks, your uppercuts there, or your jab, your straight, your hook, your uppercut. So there is so much to go off, but it all felt quick to learn. So right off the bat, one thing about this game is, what was great with the controls, is right off the bat I was like, well, I'm not going to go crazy because I'm new to the game. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to be using Fury, and I was just, you know, jab, step back, you know, move around, straight, lead hook, just move around, body, you know, not body jab, power jab, move around, not do too much, you know, bit of weave, move around, you know, and I wasn't doing, you know, it just felt great. The controls as a whole do feel great. As I said, this clicking in and moving needs to be a bit more consistent, but as a whole, in terms of gameplay, not just like from a boxing standpoint, in terms of gameplay and things that we experience as gamers, the controls feel nice. They you know, they really do. It makes sense. There's a lot more to it than the UFC game and to the Fight Night Champion, or just Fight Night games in general, not even Fight Night Champion. There's a lot more to it in terms of boxing, because it is such a realistic basis. You know, there's so many bases to cover. Fighters have got like a 60 punch sets. There's so much to do. There's angles to be made. For example, check hooks. People were like, you know, how do you do a check hook? Do you tap it, and, you know, do you flick and hook? Sorry, you don't. All you do is say he's coming at ya. Yes, simple as that. That's a check hook. That is literally rotate your body, check hook, He moves, you move, and that's it. All you do is just move in that direction. And you think, oh, well, maybe it becomes this. Maybe it doesn't. It doesn't. Honestly, I checked hook loads, and you can get caught, you can get countered, they can go under it, they can be out of range, or it lands perfectly. It really, the check hook system works well. The fighting on the back foot, let's say if I just use this half of the stick run, fighting on the back foot works well. That's a whole new set of strikes right there. If I'm standing still, it's a different set of strikes. If I'm going forward, it's a different set of strikes. If I'm going back, it's a different set of strikes. If I'm going like this way as they come in, or this way as they come in, this way as they come in, this way as they come in, different set of strikes. It all feels nice. It's one of those things where you need to get used to the strikes being different, whether it be power, accuracy, speed, depending on what foot you're on, depending on how you're moving. Not all punches are the same when going forward, going back, going to the side, standing still, being in the pocket. So the controls definitely feel nice, and that's one thing that, other than the consistency of the slips and the small movement of the weave that needs to be a little bit improved to have a wider circumference of moving, the controls work really well. It's lovely. It's a lovely feel in gameplay terms. And what complements the controls is the animations. Even if we don't talk from a real nerdy boxing standpoint, just the animations, the way the fighters move, complement the controls so well, because you are really doing what you want to do. Now, of course, there could be the tendency to do this, but that's the tendency in any game. If you do it, you will get caught and you will get knocked out. It's as simple as that. So, with me, maybe it's a bit like turbo nerdy, but I like to know what I'm going to throw at all times. I always do. I never throw something and just hope for the best. I always think about it. Now, that could be my downfall. That could be the reason I won't break top 500. I don't care. It's just the way I play. I'm always knowing what I'm going to throw. I don't enter the pocket and just quickly move away as I'm throwing shit. It doesn't happen. I may miss. I'm not saying I'm 100% accurate. I may miss, but I make sure that I know what I'm going to throw. And it's brilliant. It really is. The animations complement the controls so well. The controls feel nice. They feel clean. And it's not even like bagging on UFC, because for me, the UFC controls, they feel nice too. Fighting at round 4, those controls feel decent. They could be a bit better. But in terms of the game and the gameplay animations complementing it, the controls work nice. They really do. I have no issues with it. Like I said, the weaves could be slightly better, as opposed to this tiny little movement, and the slips could be more consistent. Now, this is the one issue the company seems to be bringing up is this slip nice? Now, my only thing with it is I want it to be consistent until I want to be able to do it when moving. I've said don't make a slip if you just have to stand still. Because I want to be able to be walking in and slip as I'm stepping. Bang. Slip again as I'm stepping again. Bang. I don't want to have to step, stop. Step, stop. Slip, step, stop. Slip. I don't want that. I want to be able to walk, boom. Keep walking, walk. And that's what I want. I don't want to be restricted in terms of my slips. But other than that, the controls all feel great. You got your basic buttons, your basic whatever you are. I was watching some of the guys that use sticks. They've done it brilliantly. No one was struggling using the stick, and I didn't feel a disadvantage using the buttons. I suppose with it is you do have the ability to spam, but not really, because you'd just get tagged and you'd get fucked up. But yeah, it feels great. It's like I said, the clinch was implemented, but not greatly. But it's a great. The clinch is simple to use. And yeah, all in all. And there was a sprint. Now, I can't for the life of me remember the sprint. I cannot remember. I think it was like off the start, you hold at R1 and you run forward or something. I can't remember what the sprint was off the top of my head. But yeah, no, the controls feel great. I just thought I'd cover this because this is more like gameplay and how the game feels as opposed to boxing and how the game looks and how the game feels from a boxing point of view. This is pure gamer stuff. Like, how does the game feel how do the controls feel? Do I feel clunky? And honestly, I never did. Never had an issue with the controls, other than the weave having a little bit of restriction, but that's not the controls, that's the game, and the weaves being inconsistent. That could have something to do with the controls, I don't know. But they felt great. Even on an Xbox controller that I hate using, they all felt really good. Really nice layout. It's a good base layout as well for people to get into the game. No one's gonna be like going into a fighting game like ESBC and start trying to throw jabs with these. You know, the common idea is you're going to hit someone with this or hit someone with this. So it works well as a base and a standard for when you load into the game. But yeah, all in all, I really enjoyed. I really liked the controls. Had no issue with it. Felt smooth. The animations complemented it brilliantly. So yeah, I just thought I'd cover that from more of a gaming point of view, so you guys get an idea of what it feels like on the control scheme. And yeah, so still, you know, the controls feel great. They really do. But I just thought I'd cover this because I know people, you know, were like, when they saw the screenshot of the controls, were like, does it feel clunky? Does it feel this? You can't press. You can. Like, I see people saying like you can't press, you know, 5 or 6. You know, you can't press 5 or 6 buttons like quickly. You absolutely can. Like, unless you're really old, you absolutely can. You know, you can absolutely put combinations together. You know, you just have to know what you want to throw before you throw them. So, you know, you could be like bang, 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 step back, boom, boom, and like do something like that. So it's just, you know, you could just say step back and then come back in with the jab, the straight, the hook, step back, go forward again, come in with the straight, the hook again. You know, bloody slip the shot, body hook. Like the control scheme works well. It's always one of those things. But if I was playing it, if I had it on this monitor and I was doing this, it would flow well because I'm actually hitting something. Whereas for me, I'm going off muscle memory on the control. But it flows really nice. I was impressed. But yeah, I just thought I'd cover this. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one, guys. I thought it might be something you guys would be interested in hearing about. Thank you as always for watching. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.